everything. I see everything.
Hey there, folks. So back in summer, I came into contact with a game I hadn't played in a while. It was PlayStation 1's Frogger. I came across it at Stockton Con. Someone was at a booth just selling games, really old PS1 games, and I said to myself, if they're selling Frogger, I'm gonna buy it. Sure enough, that was the first one on the top of the PlayStation 1 stack, so I got Frogger. I'm just gonna take another look at it, just to see if it still holds up today. Let's start off with the original. Frogger was an arcade game made in 1981, backed by Konami. It's a classic game with a simple goal. Get the frog across the street. Get the frog across the river. Do it 4 more times. People loved it. And with its popularity, it eventually spawned a sequel in 1984. It was called Frogger 2 3 Deep! Exclamation mark. And it looked a little confusing, honestly. I never even heard of it beforehand. I didn't know Frogger had an official sequel of itself. I don't think there's much to say about it. But in 1997, with Hasbro Interactive at the helm, they birthed Frogger. Or Frogger PS1, Frogger He's Back, Frogger PC, Frogger 1997, Frogger 3D, Frogger Polygons, Frogger the Frogger. Frogger. There really isn't much of a story to Frogger. The opening sequence doesn't really explain much of anything. I mean, it shows him dying in the arcade version, and he ends up in 3 dimensions all of a sudden. I mean, I don't know how to explain that, but I'm guessing he's just in Frogger hell. This is hell for him. What did you do, Frogger? The back of the case doesn't really explain much either. It just gives a vague description of what to expect from the game. I mean, the arcade version probably makes more sense than this. Get across the road, get across the river. You're home, or in a better place than you were before. Makes more sense. But in this game, yeah, you get across the road, and you get across the river, but then you hop onto another frog, and the other frog disintegrates. What the hell, Frogger? Demon, get some help. Each game is divided into several zones with levels within them. You could be deep in the jungle, in the dark caverns, above the clouds, or even the retro style from '81. The themes are pretty diverse. Though some of the levels are rehashes of other levels, they do add their own challenges to them. This game primarily has cartoonish, kid-friendly graphics. This is the game for kids then, right? Wrong! Do not believe them. This game is hard. You have 3 lives to get the job done. Okay, lives. So bad. I gotta do. The object of this game: collect 5 frogs per level. That sounds bad. Really, you know. It's a little harder than it looks. Yes, there are some easy levels, and you'll start off with a few of them, but it gets worse. It comes to a point where there's very little margin for error, because everything and everyone wants you dead. Snakes, beavers, dogs, vultures, water, cars, crocs, bats, boulders, beetles. Ooh, the Beatles. Ooh, the Beatles.
Hate them.
Ooh, the Beatles. Oh,
I do.
I hate them. No relation to the band Beatles. I like those ones. Beatles. Not the bad ones. Heights, ledges, spike, pistons, lawnmowers. Lawnmowers? No. Trust me, when you start this game, it's pretty easy, but it can turn into madness really fast. Part of it has to do with the game's mechanics themselves. For instance, there's a starting position at every level. We'll call this starting position the spot. When you die, back to the spot. When you collect a frog, back to the spot.
Now you're in trouble.
You'll be going back to the spot a lot of times, especially if you're not very good at the level. You will come to know the spot and love this spot. When the spot has its wedding, you're gonna be there. You're gonna be at the wedding. If the spot gets sick, you're gonna give it a lung. It's just how it's gonna be. That's your spot, man. Get used to it. This alone could put you at wit's end, because some of these spots require tedious and repetitious things you gotta do. Crap you gotta get out of the way. Just crap you gotta do. I have a love-hate relationship with the sewer levels. I like the music, I like the atmosphere, but I hate this starting point. This starting point is just plain evil. Here's a basic description of the sewer starting point. You start with a limited amount of time. You have to ride barrels to the bottom of the level. Like riding logs down a river, you ride these barrels down a stream of just filth. But there's fast barrels and slow barrels. The fast barrels are difficult to land on, while the slow barrels are easy to land on. They aren't quick enough. And I have to decide whether I want to use the middle barrel because it's faster, or just take the slow one just because it's safer. Fast and furious, or safe and slow. I didn't mean to do that. It's kind of an accident. Once you're at the bottom, you have to eat flies that give you more time, and there's no choice in this. You won't be able to finish the level without those flies. And after you explode yourself across a river of sewage, that's when you'll see your first frog. This means you'll have to ride the barrels, eat the flies, and cross the river at least 5 times. And it can be a bit much if you're not very patient. There's just a lot of waiting in this game. When you combine waiting with the starting zones, it becomes much more tedious and frustrating. Specifically, when you have to wait at a starting zone, you don't want to. You just finished getting so close to a frog, but now you have to wait all this time to get back. It takes a toll after a while. And it can be so frustrating to wait for so long only to die instantly because that part was just batshit crazy. It gets really insane sometimes. The worst thing about this game is a level called Frogger Goes Skiing. It is my least favorite level in the game. I'll try to explain this briefly. Throughout the game, you're expected to hop from space to space, one at a time. That's just how the game works. But in this level, you slide all over the place down this path of hell. Like you're going forward and dodging obstacles left and right while just sliding. This probably would have been much better if you had more control of yourself as you're sliding around the place. But you don't. What's worse is that this level is dark, so it's difficult to dodge obstacles and hazards. And if that wasn't hard enough, there's a point where the path turns around and you have to travel backwards. This makes obstacles impossible to predict. I would like to take this level, put it in a box, and burn the box. Burn the box with insults. But thank goodness for cheat codes. Yes, I'm a cheater. Deal with it. Because if you're having a bad time, there's codes to unlock all the zones and a code that gives you unlimited lives. But this doesn't make the game any easier. It's only because you still have to unlock the levels within the zones. Even with unlimited lives, you still die just as easily. It's just that you have less penalty for dying now, and more time to explore and experiment. As a child, this was the only way my tiny attention span could bear this game. Because without it, this game would have had no hope for childhood me. But overall, despite some here and there dislikes I have about the game, I had a fun time replaying it. It's probably something about its bright colors and cartoony atmosphere, and I love the music of this game. It's probably due, in part, to nostalgia, but playing the game without cheats was an interesting challenge. The games I've played in recent years kind of feel too hand-holdy for me. Like, just push these buttons a lot of times, and you'll get there eventually. But finishing this game didn't seem so inevitable. Yes, I did eventually finish the game, but I felt like I got there because of my skill with the game, and not because someone told me to. I realized this may not make much sense, but I felt more accomplished completing this game than any other game I've completed recently. Was this game impossible? No. But it had enough challenge to say that I was challenged. Or maybe because I suck at the game, or can't grasp the concept of playing games that involve the lives system, at least not in this day and age. But whatever the case may be, I enjoyed my time replaying this game, and I recommend it for anyone who's not too impatient with life in general. And that's all I got. And admittedly, even playing it today, I still haven't managed to beat all the levels without the cheat codes on. This game is hard.